Let's get your golf gear ready for 2017. Stay tuned and figure out all the tips and tricks to golf better early. Welcome back to the McGolf shop, and because the weather's not very good yet here in Ohio, we're talking about what's it going to take for you to get ready for your best golf 2017. Now, you're going to see all things about getting physically fit, things about eating right, things about golf swing changes. Those are all really great. However, if you don't have the right tool for the right job, you got to have both, okay? So if you just are the kind of guy that goes out and slams your golf clubs together and puts them in the garage, chances are you probably need to bring them out a little earlier and give them a little TLC in order for you to golf better earlier into the season. Same thing if you leave them in the back of the car, a little more covered, but if you leave it parked outside, well then it's the same thing. So what we want to check first is we'll check irons, okay? If you are the guy that just went to the local course and you have bunches of globules of dirt and stuff still on your clubs, wash them. Okay, that's the best first thing you can do. Get you a bucket, some really nice hot water, set them in there, and one at a time pull them out and use a brush. Okay, you can use a towel, a microfiber towel, which I have one of those here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see all this, but if you get up close, you see there's a lot of squares. It's very, very coarse, and this is a club glove towel, and that's where it's held by sitting on a club. Well, you can use that to wipe it down. If you watch the guys on the tour and you see a guy taking a towel and doing like this, chances are it's one of those. If you don't, then get you a brush. Don't use a big steely brush. Get you one of those little golf brushes that cost you about $3.50, $4 at the lowest, and maybe $8 when they have all the interchangeable things on them, and clean your clubs and get into them grooves, clean them out. And then when you've got it all clean, then you want to really get close and inspect it. If you've left your clubs outside quite a bit, look for rust. All right, if it's starting to rust, that means your covering has come off, and quite possibly in the future you might run into a failure. Not necessarily in the face, but maybe in the hosel. The other one is if you're playing a rocky course, and sometimes you can get a ding in that neck of the woods, or you can get a really big chunk taken out of here. Now, if you have one of those, what you can do is take it to a local club guy, has a grinding machine. Let me pull my driver back up here. He has a grinding machine, he can grind some of that stuff flat. And then that way that doesn't, for two reasons. One, when it sits in here in your bag, and it gets really rough, it'll cut you open. The other part is it will get caught in the turf, and so you want to just get rid of it. It takes very little time, very little effort, and you can do that. Or if you're a handy guy, get yourself a file and file it off just so it's smooth, and you'll be better off for it. Second is the shaft. Check the shaft. Now I have some recoil shafts in these clubs, but what you want to do, there's two different ways of looking at this. You have the graphite shaft, you have the steel shaft. In graphite, what can happen is, particularly if you're playing in cooler or really, really hot weather, is that if maybe you get a digger or something, you can split the paint and get into some of the fiber linings down in here, and sometimes they're really hard to see. So give them a good flex and see if you see anything. Look for bag wear. Okay, you'll see if you put them in there and you don't have the some 14 dividers, some not, but look for the bag wear, typically right about here, about just a good average about right in this neck of the woods. Look for bag wear. Is the paint wore off? Is it digging? Now, paint coming off, not so bad, but if it's digging into the graphite, you're creating a weak point, and eventually that's going to break the shaft. Steel shafts, give them a good cleaning, look them up and down, check for rust spots. The rust spots are just basically an indicator that thing's going to fail eventually. All right, if you were to put them up for the year and you put a nice coat of wax on them, chances are you're going to be okay for a long, long time. But you start seeing pock marks, or you start seeing flaking of the chrome plating or something like that, it's time to think seriously about looking at a different shaft, because the last thing you don't want to be is in some sort of important play and all of a sudden this thing fails on you. All right. Lastly, but not lastly, probably the most important of all that is the grip. All right, so if you hold on to this club like this, like this, like this, you want to check wherever your fingers are grinding in there and the thumb area on this for wear. Okay, for wear. You'll find that when you change grips, you have a little more confidence, you swing better, and you actually do better in golf. So if you have some significant wear spots back here, wear spots back here or on top, or your grip is just completely shiny and non-tacky and it's breaking right here, then it's time for some new grips. All right, have the pro do it, have the club maker do it, whatever, but it's time for some new grips. That's true for wedges, that's true for any of the irons going through. Now, the only thing I would add in the woods is that you give them a good cleaning as well, and then put a layer of wax on them just to protect the shine, particularly for those of you who have the club covers and then they throw them into the golf cart and never use them, and then they get that telltale curve piece right here. If you have a little bit of wax on it, at least you can help minimize that from happening. What I like doing is I like cleaning these off, making them nice and basically shiny, so I'm not distracted by scratches, I'm not distracted by big monster thumbprints or globs of dirt. Now, if you're one of those unlucky few that have a sky mark on there and it's a black club, you might be able to take a Sharpie and just kind of color in that area, and it's not going to be permanent, but it's better than looking at a whole bunch of white little mini claw marks on the top of the club. So take a look at that. And again, in the driver, since a lot of people tend to use their driver and squeeze it harder than most, you might want to take a look at the driver. Make sure that it's not shiny, make sure it's got its tack, and make sure the wear marks are not on there. Finally, we got the putter. And I had to do it this year. Again, we inspect the putter, we inspect the shaft to make sure it's right, and we check out the grip. I just put this new grip onto this. I'll do another video on this later. Alright, so we check that. That's just for the condition. Okay, that's just for the condition of that. Now, if you played a lot of golf, chances are you want to have your lofts and your lies looked at. Just in the irons. Go get a loft and lie check, have them bent back to their original specs or to your fitting specs, whatever that might be. Same thing with the putter. Have the loft and lie check on it and make sure that it's exactly what you need prior to getting started. So all your tools are set up per spec. They got all the new stuff, they've all been cleaned, you're ready to rock and roll and make you feel better. It's like washing a car. Now, the next thing you want to look at that is the glove, right? Did you get real sweaty last year and you got the big old wet marks all over it and it got nice and crispy and crunchy, and when you go to put it on, it goes, or when you find it, it looks like it looks like that instead of like this. Right? If it's all crunched up and it does like that, it means you've put a lot of sweat on there and you've not allowed it to dry properly, or you haven't cleaned it off, whatever. And that's going to provide, you put this glove on for a little bit of protection. All right, and you will have none. All right, there will be no grip. It'll be slippery. It'll be just as bad as having the shiny grip. So if you're in there and your glove is all kind of crinkly and whatnot, go get you another one. All right, or we'll get you two. That's what I like to do. I put the two in rotation. So one day I'll play with one glove. I'll lay it out. I'll hang it on the outside because most bags have a place to put them now. And then the next day or the next round, I'll use the other one. So this thing is totally dry and it hangs open like that. All right. Then the next is your actual golf bag. Okay. Get the golf bag. All right, the thing with the golf bag, right, you have a valuables pouch. That's typically where you put your change, your car keys, everything that you think, well, is valuable. Well, at the end of every year, I always forget to do this. In the beginning of the year, I always do this. Get in that valuables pouch and dig everything out of it. This year, I found enough change in my valuables pouch to go out and have a really nice lunch. All right, you want to make sure that you just have your necessities in there. I like having a ball marker, and I like having a divot tool in there. So I have my divot tool that's been around since forever. I like this one because it twists. It goes closed, and that way I don't have any spikes. That's in there. Let's see what else I got in here. Then I've got a couple of ball markers from the Orange Tree, and then I got one from Wisconsin, and I think I have one more in here. I know. Oh, there it is. And then my Golf Digest club fitters. So you get those in there. You might have a favorite tee, which I do. I have a favorite tee. And that's in your valuables pouch the first time out, so now you're able to play with some etiquette. In the next set of pouches, you know, there's always a rain hood in there. Make sure your rain hood's in there. Make sure it's in good shape. Make sure the mice weren't able to get into it if you leave it outside. If you leave it inside, not so much of a worry. All in all, what I would suggest that you do is you empty out the golf bag, clubs, everything that's in there. Get you a vacuum cleaner and get in there. All right. The whole idea here is you want this thing to last because everybody spends a pretty good coin on this. So let's let it last. You take the dirt out and it doesn't rub against the fibers and it doesn't cut them, and it makes it just last longer. Okay. And it makes it look good. Then you can get some more hot water or hot soapy water and just wipe the bag down. All right. Most of them are of a non-leather variety anymore. That's very old school. But if you just take it and you wipe it down, you can get some of the outer dirt on it, and it's very good. If you're totally serious about it, you can get some of that, what they use for upholstery covering, but I wouldn't recommend that because this stuff's pretty stout anyway. So then when you got all this stuff cleaned out and it's all emptied, then you can put back and you can re-inventory whatever it is that you want. A first aid kit, right? It has Band-Aids, mosquito bite repellent. You might have stuff, it has aspirin in it, or if you can't take aspirin, maybe Tylenol, that kind of stuff. Neat, just a real basic first aid kit. Put that in there. Sunscreen, put that in there. Your golf gloves, put that in there. Extra golf tees, because nothing's worse than walking up to your first tee and go, oh man, I forgot to put golf tees in there. Can you loan me one? Really? A golf tee? Put some in there. And then make so you have enough golf balls to make you get through the round. Now, I know a lot of people find them and they're sometimes cruddy and you just drop them in there. When you pull them out, if they're nasty, just put them in that water you're cleaning your clubs with. Make them nice and clean again, dry them off, and put them back in a bag. You're good to go. All right, make sure the strap is good on your bag. Make sure it's nice and tight, that you're not frayed, that this isn't going to come off. All right, it's particularly if you're a walker. If you're a guy that gets on a cart, all this is to make sure that you can get to and from the vehicle without it falling down. And then if you got any little tidbits like bag tags and whatnot, make sure that they're good to go. All right. So you get all that done, your gear is in top-notch order, grips are in good shape, shafts are in good shape, heads are in good shape, luffs and lies have been checked, your gloves are ready to go, your balls are ready to go, tees are ready to go, you got all your accessories that you think that you might need, you're ready to rock and roll. One less thing for you to worry about when you step onto that tee that allows you to make a more confident, easier swing. If you like this and if you saw what you like about getting some tips about cleaning this stuff up or what you need to look for, subscribe if you would, and hit the like button. There'll be more videos coming, so if you subscribe, you'll get the YouTube warning. And thanks for watching, and let's see your scores go low. It'll get caught in the turf. It will get